rocking right now. Let's take a look at what's happening. Okay, a big week this week in the markets here. So let's get this started off. First, I'm going to take a look at what's happening here. Oh, so Trump won't be doing a scheduled attack with Iran. We were supposed to attack Iran tomorrow. But of course they backed out. Why? Maybe because Trump is just using it as a strategical way of, like, at this point kind of laying a bit off of Iran. One second, guys. Yeah. Kind of smart. One second, guys. Why is this thing still doing this here? Give me 30 seconds. It's pissing me off. Okay. My bad, guys. Why is it still doing this? Alright, let's go to the Iran war here.
That Israel, you know, we talk about it, people think we're using these terms loosely. I use them very precisely. They're dragging us into the war. And that means it's...
Sure, that Palantir thinks that we should reintroduce conscription, that kids should start getting drafted again into military and they should have mandatory military experience for kids. I just don't understand why anybody would want to support that. That sounds crazy. Especially after this Iran war, where everybody's like, why the fuck are we in Iran? And if you signed up for that,
Interesting. This is the last thing I'm going to
really
hear.
always been the whole conceit is that Israel, you know, we talk about it, people think we're using these terms loosely. I use them very precisely. They're dragging us into the war. And that means it's this step-by-step process where each individual step, it becomes more unlikely that we're able to extricate ourselves from it. That's sort of the whole point. It's like it's sort of slowly and then all at once, you're in this conflict. Nobody from the very beginning would say we're going to go into a ground war and fight 90 million people in this huge country. But it starts with the industrial sabotage, the cyber attacks, nuclear assassinations. We're going to shoot down their missiles, engage the proxies. You know, and this is how it's gone step by step over 2 years until now. You know, the 12-day war became this 60, 75-day war, whatever we're in. And I think that the way it's shaking out, if you want to get into the details, is there's two sticking points still. And that is the first one, which has been the one from the very beginning, which is enrichment.
Yeah, so the news this week is super slow. There's nothing crazy.
You cannot have enrichment, not at a low level. There can never be a sunset clause. There needs to be a permanent moratorium and no enrichment at all. And why does Trump in particular have to insist upon this? Because he tore up the JCPOA. And what was the problem with the JCPOA? It sunsetted. It allowed them to enrich at low levels, and then after 10 years, it went away. So if Trump were to get anything less than zero enrichment, then he looks like an idiot. He looks like he got a worse deal or a deal just as good after we decimated them. So you go, it's been 10 years of maximum pressure, and we came crawling back to beg for the same deal back. It's a non-starter. So conversely, Iran says our right to enrich is as sacred as the sovereignty over our soil. They equate enrichment with sovereignty for obvious reasons, because it's their only deterrent against Israel and Washington engaging in this regime change, which is existential for the regime. So there's no wiggle room for either side. There's no coming down from those. And then the second one since the war is the Strait. And the United States cannot accept that Iran gains the Strait. Again, after we hit them with everything, now they have this strategic choke point. They have 5 times more oil under their control than before the war. And then Iran, likewise, they can't give up the Strait. Why would they? They can close it. We can't take it back. And that is their deterrent against a future conflict, because that is how they impose a cost, not only on us, but the whole world, if we were to try to. And the two issues are related, because if we don't get the centrifuges in this go around, Iran knows we're coming back for round 3 to mow the grass, trim the grass. We're going to come back in, bomb the stockpile, the centrifuges, whatever. How do they prevent another U.S.-Israel crack at it? We got to have the Strait under our control so that everybody knows we go back in, it's $7 gas. It's a global meltdown. The UAE, Bahrain, Saudi, they're done. They're finished after that. So those two issues are going to be the impasse. I don't see budging on either of them. They're just irreconcilable, intractable differences. And so I think you're totally right. At least in the short term, there's going to be a return to fighting. And then on a longer timeline, look, the thing that people never keep in mind, unlike the U.S. and North Korea or the U.S. and Venezuela or Cuba, they don't have a country like Israel sabotaging diplomacy.
This thing's about to mitigate,
provoking through deception and lobbying for escalation. So even if
this thing's
you get someone
right
like
now.
Trump that says, all right, we're just going to call it, I'm going to take the hit. Well, is there someone you forgot to ask? You know, we need permission, actually, and they're always going to sabotage it. So I think you're right.
This
I think,
gap has to get filled.
I don't know
well.
that it's a certainty, but yeah, there's
finally
very
this
few
week we're
options
seeing some
where this
bearish
works out for
movement.
us.
I've been looking for this bearish movement all week here. See what else Nick is saying. This guy's a little bit of a conspiracy theorist, I'm not gonna lie.
It's fake. I mean, listen, when you say that China, there is an angle where it is about energy dominance. Truly, there is an angle. When you look at Iran, when you look at Venezuela, that's one way we could talk about it. But that's a rationalization. Does it have some explanatory power? Sure. Here's the problem. It ignores that the real containment against China, it's all about the first island chain. That's really what matters.
I think markets
it's not
are
an
going to be
energy
very
problem.
bearish.
Because how do we
Let's lower Nick over here, but I think markets are going to be very bearish this week. Ridiculously bearish, to be honest. What I'm expecting, since Dixie's already been kind of breaking through structure. So let's look at like some bearish setups here. I believe Dixie's going to continue to keep rising. I've been waiting for this drop here now for a long time. And finally we're starting to see some movement here with it after a long time, you know. So let's see if we can start seeing it.
contain China, we contain them in the first island chain. We don't need to contain the oil in Venezuela.
Oh yeah, you see that?
In Iran,
Constant breaks of structure here. This is a good thing. I've been waiting for this for a long time, guys.
So, yeah,
Finally, dude.
Oil from Iran. They get oil from Venezuela.
Finally.
Look at their energy mix. It's mostly
Let's look at how the daily
and
looks.
renewables. We're different. We run on a lot of oil. They don't. So
Daily looks okay.
that's one aspect of it, but here's the other. If we wanted to
Man, I've been
blockade
looking
China,
for some
we
type of
blockade them
fucking
in the
break of
first
structure.
island chain,
Finally, to the downside
which
here.
is Japan, Taiwan, Philippines. We're trying to constrict them around that first line of islands, and so it's all about reinforcing first and foremost Taiwan.
Finally, we have some type of break here.
Weakest link in the chain.
Right
That's
there.
the one that's close to China.
There we go.
China debatably has a claim to it. That's the one they have designs
Okay,
on.
that right there is a
And
BOS,
if they
break
take
of
over
structure.
Taiwan, well, then they
Finally.
believe that they have
Even though the
access to
COTs right now
Pacific Ocean,
show
get their submarines
mixed
out, carriers
buys
out, they break
on
into
annual,
so there's
but
a
look
few
at
things going on.
SPX and the
One,
micro
we're
E-mini.
prioritizing that, like,
Look at the
that's really
COTs
line
right now
of
for that.
defense against China, not energy.
On trade
And the
DNA.
other aspect of it is, how do we defend the island chain? It's going to be with
The dividend index.
THAAD systems, Patriot missile batteries. These are all things we're expending in Iran. So the China Hawks don't want us to be in Iran.
The E-mini is what I'm talking about here.
They want us to bring the fight to China. And what they are united in is they want us out of Ukraine, out of Iran. They want us reinforcing the island chain. They want us reinforcing Taiwan. Because there's only a finite supply of THAAD systems and Patriot missile batteries and the interceptors that they shoot, and we're wasting all of them. So the China Hawks, like Tucker's a China Hawk. I don't know if you remember this. Nobody remembers this. But when Tucker was on Fox News, he was always railing against China. Always. Because he and Peter Thiel and Elbridge Colby in the Pentagon, the top policymaker in the Pentagon right now, they're all prioritizers. And what that means is they
Who the hell
want
is
to
in my house?
prioritize combating China over fighting Russia or fighting Israel's wars in the Middle East.
If we get a break of structure above, then I'd look for some sort of break.
In the Middle East, the Arabs,
But I think this is going to sell off tomorrow. We'll be trading this live tomorrow morning, so I'm excited.
To these other countries, to our partners.
I'm shocked we didn't see any type of movement here.
They will be able to
The second standard
balance
deviation.
against Iran, let's say, or you know, managed counterterrorism.
We'll see this tomorrow.
Well, we go and fight in
Most
Asia.
likely we'll be
So
here
that's a big
tomorrow.
idea there. So, no, I mean, it's just wrong. If the China Hawks want us out of Iran, who are the China Hawks? Tucker.
This right here looks like it might just do one last rally all the way up into this zone here.
He's no longer a China Hawk.
And then I want to see how
So he
price
wrote the
reacts
new
over here.
National security strategy for the Pentagon. And the way there was either the I think it was the NBS
This area
and
needs
the
to get
NSS.
remitigated.
He
So
wrote both of these
I'm going to
white
look
papers,
for
and they both talk about
potentially
hemisphere
some
defense
bearish movement
prioritizing
here.
Caribbean and Latin America.
Potentially
But he
if
did
we
that
can
with
get
one thing,
something
he's
here.
Still a China Hawk. I've heard this firsthand. He's still a China Hawk. Thiel is a China Hawk.
This is already
Tucker
mitigated.
always
This is the
has.
only thing that hasn't
That's
been
why they
mitigated
don't
yet.
fight it.
This has already mitigated its previous structure. This is the only structural point that hasn't been mitigated yet. So every other pair has been, every other section has been mitigated. So that's the only thing I see on internal structure that I could say, hey, it hasn't been mitigated yet. Let's see if this breaks through tomorrow. If it does, I'd rather go for a buy around this zone tomorrow and take profit here. If not, this thing's gonna sell off tomorrow because we have that break of structure here. That break of structure is something I've been looking for a long time, guys. Really looking for that for a long time. To be honest, that break of structure here is a good one. So it could take us down here or hopefully down here. Why do I say hopefully? I mean, markets would panic, but that would bring us nice 3%. Our Bitcoin trade's doing really, really well. Remember I told you guys, I'm like, just be patient with me on Bitcoin. Be patient with me. And I keep stacking. Remember I kept stacking here. I'm still in sells, and I'm in profit right now. I'm in about 7 sells on BTC. I want to stack more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait to sell off. Again, at 78. So just give me some time. I kind of want to see what's happening with it first, and then we'll go from there. Let's look at NOS, kind of the same kind of concept here. Haven't looked at it in a long time here, so let's take a look at this. We're coming close to that break of structure here with NOS, with the NASDAQ. Realistically, I want to see internal structure here. Is this mitigated already? Might already be mitigated. Let's take a look. Oh, just barely. Yeah, I'm curious to see if that area is going to get mitigated. If not, we're most likely going to rally from this if it doesn't break this zone here soon. I need this zone right here to be broken. If we can get a break here, we get a nice solid pullback, this thing is 100% going to drop to 27,600. From what it's looking like though, the way SPX looks really bullish. I'm not going to lie to you guys. So I don't know how I feel about NOS since it doesn't look as bullish as SPX. You know what I mean? Okay, so let's go about this here. Same concept there. This thing keeps breaking structure downward, right? Talked about this one here, talk about this one here. The major one that you need to pay attention to is this one. This impulse move here, completely breaking. Honestly though, we're in order flow. That's like the biggest thing. This right here is order flow. You see that? Might even come lower, to be honest. Sell here. Where price is tomorrow will kind of dictate where what I'm gonna do tomorrow. I'd want to sell. What best case scenario? If I can give you guys my best case scenario, it would be this. Best case scenario would be price goes here on internal tomorrow, rises, does a little bit of an order flow to this impulse move, and then shifts down to mitigate that zone here on internal structure, on external structure, right? That's kind of what I'm looking for tomorrow. One more move to the downside here. NQ, just the opposite, right? Same thing. A lot more bearish than bullish here. Looking for that mitigation tomorrow and then a sell-off. Let's look at the VIX. there's still a gap that gets to get filled on VIX, which is I'm shocked that it's barely really increased. You see what I'm saying? This VIX here needs to, the VIX is shot up just slightly. Just slightly, nothing insane, like, but it has to fill this gap here. So I've been waiting for the VIX to do that. You know what that means, right? When SPX volatility is downward, it makes the SPX bullish. But we're at all-time lows for SPX volatility, and it looks like it wants to move higher since it has been breaking structure and making higher highs here. You see that from the previous break of structure? I want to see this do this here and fill that. With higher volatility, it'll actually make the VIX bearish. That's what we want. Not want. 3 block. I've checked treasury bonds the last couple of days. Wow, today, treasury bonds. Yields are up. Volumes exiting, liquidity a bit. Markets exiting, liquidity. Interesting. Bond market is feeling it. Oh, wow. That's not good. That's really bad. You have a break of structure to the upside here. We're most likely bullish here on oil. Oil's still above 100 a barrel. That'll lead us into an absolute recession here if we stay there. We're about to head into a recession, for sure. This is actually really insane. Oil's going to continue making its move to the upside. So just so you guys can kind of see what I'm looking at like some oil news. The reality is this war with Iran isn't going to really stop for a long time unless Trump does something. But so we can only take a look at what daily structure is telling us. My thought process here is this is just order flow. And for now, our impulse to the upside has slowed down just a tad. On the daily, even the 8-hour kind of looks like we're slowing down here, but we're still breaking indecisional candles in structure. So this is bullish. I wouldn't want to be bearish at all with oil. This is very, very much still bullish here. And the next zone that we want to start looking for a break of structure would be here. We get to a break of structure here. This thing is slowly breaking zones. We're going to move to the upside. My only worry here is we're around a major mitigation area, so we might move lower. But to be honest, I'm looking at structure just bringing us to the upside here. Let's take a look at gold here. I was looking at gold last week. I was in sells for gold, which was great. Looking for indecisional areas of TP here. Wow. Did this morning? Yeah, Sunday, 6 p.m. It didn't break structure though. This is supposed to be green. Why is this red right now? Someone touch my charts? Chart did not look like this earlier. We might be very much bullish. You have liquidity that was swept right here. See this here? This is liquidity swept. Usually a very big bullish indicator. I don't like that gold volatility isn't moving higher, but this right here looks like reaccumulation here. Liquidity. This looks like a schematic. Let me show you guys. This looks like a schematic 3 or a schematic 4. Yeah, like a straight schematic. See this? Phase A, Phase B, and Phase C. This right here is Phase A. Phase A, Phase B, Phase C. I'm going to be looking for very big long-term buys with gold. With a swipe of liquidity like that, I'm very much more bullish than bearish because we haven't broken structure. If we break 4-hour structure, then I would tell you something different here, but this structural point is holding on very strong. And we have rejection. What I would say is, I wouldn't be surprised if gold does come here. I would take a sell if I see it come here, for sure. But I'm mostly like internal sells here. I want to look for this here. To be honest, I'd rather look for some type of buying opportunity here when it comes back downward, but I would TP here if you're going to look for buys tomorrow. Rather look for buys tomorrow. Because realistically, it looks like it's getting ready to lift off soon. Yeah, you see this break of the Asian range today. Wow, yeah, it looks like it's ready to lift off. The Asian range has been swiping liquidity, which is what it's known for. But this here, I would sell, I would buy if we get lower here into this zone. 40, 45, 50 would be a buying zone. Let's look at futures here. Oh, wow. Wow, that is interesting. Super interesting. You don't see that often. Instead of swiping liquidity with futures, you have a complete break of structure. You see that? What does that mean? That means gold is going to go a lot lower. When this happens and you have a contradiction, you want to trade in between the zone. I'd want to sell here. A nice sell around this zone here would be great. Even to the low, be almost guaranteed since there's so much indecision here. And I am inspired to this zone right there. That's what I'm looking for. A nice 1 to 4, 1 to 5. Right here. USD CAD continues to accelerate. I think this is very much bullish here. You're going to want to look for buys on USD CAD. USD CAD is still going to stay as a buy. Keep buying USD CAD. GU, I haven't been paying attention to GU. There's a lot of buys in GU, the COTs. I'm shocked that there's still more people buying. He is very much bearish though. It's a nice easy sell for you guys. Shocked though, COTs probably next week will report something completely. Let's see, look at USD JPY. Yeah, bullish here. It's gonna stay, there's nothing stopping price, so USD JPY is a buy. Let's look at BTC here. I'm still in sells. 6-7 sells in BTC, looking to short more. As soon as price comes up at least to, let's look at this zone here. I'm gonna show you guys where, because it's off my buy zone right now. I would short if it comes back up to this zone here. This is where I'm gonna short another probably 2 or 3 quarters. I'm gonna ride this to 50, 40K. Top 7 looking good, guys. All right, guys, appreciate y'all. I will see you guys tomorrow morning. We will be trading live, and I will talk to y'all soon.